Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. India shares its largest land border with Bangladesh. Now, Sheikh Hasina's tenure saw a boost in trade between India and Bangladesh. Some even call it the golden age of Indo-Bangladesh ties. Bilateral ties reached $13 billion in 2023-24. With Sheikh Hasina gone, what will be the impact on these high-stake investments for India? India has the following agreements with Bangladesh. Trade, FTA discussions initiated to reduce or eliminate customs duties. Infra projects, road, rail, shipping and port infrastructure in Bangladesh, which allows India's landlocked northeast to access the Bay of Bengal and bypass the Chicken's Neck. The Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, or BIMSTEC, India's new trade partners in the East. The Teesta River project, for which Sheikh Hasina had favored India over China just a fortnight before she resigned. The Maitri project, a trans-border pipeline project funded by India to transport high-speed diesel from the Numaligarh refinery in Assam to northern Bangladesh. With these heavy-duty investments made by India over the last decade, what we are talking about today is, will these investments be delayed or halted? What will the new order of business look like? And how does India need to proceed from here? Joining me to discuss this today are Ambassador Deepak Vohra, former Indian diplomat, Manish Chand, senior journalist, and in the studio with me is my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. Ambassador Vohra, I want to start by asking you this. India has invested so much of political, economic capital in Bangladesh over the last 15 years under Sheikh Hasina's rule. Some even called it the golden age of India-Bangladesh ties. We thought it would last forever, but clearly not. What must India do now to stabilize the situation? Is everything lost for India in Bangladesh?
Well, thank you very much. Always a pleasure, sir, to be with you on your amazing channel. And then, of course, you have the two other colleagues whose knowledge is much greater than mine. Let me begin by saying I've been ambassador to 6 countries and I've been in this region for quite some time. I've seen what happened in Sri Lanka, what happened in Nepal, what happened in Maldives. It was always, oh, India's had it, sab khatam ho gaya, sab barbaad ho gaya, etc., etc. That was the narrative each time, but nothing really happened. As far as Bangladesh is concerned, our brand equity is so deep in that country, It's not going to go away easily. Sir, India has always dealt with whoever controls the levers of power, whoever is officially the head of government or state. Individuals really don't matter. Now, we said it will last forever. Sheikh Hasina was what, 77? Was she going to be around like that Chinese ting-tong fellow for the next 5,000 years? No, she was going to go away sooner rather than later because she has age not on her side. So, sir, what done in Bangladesh, and you very rightly put it that there is political capital we've invested, economic capital, financial resources, we have investment. We've given soft loans, we've invested, our business people have invested in that country. Bangladeshi students have come here to study, our students have gone there. All that is not going to go away. What I see happening in Bangladesh today, and remember, sir, that there are 300 million, I repeat this figure, 300 million Bengalis, very emotional and sometimes volatile, maybe my friends from me, living on either side of the border, in Bangladesh and in West Bengal. Sheikh Hasina was a friend of India, we all know that. I was there in 1971, I know exactly what has happened. We respected her father, he respected us, and she understood. She has a memory about what had happened at that time. So she has gone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the next regime or the regime that comes is going to be terrible as far as India is concerned. They can't do without us. China is too far away. And if they're having problems in their country, and we all know America's involvement in, there used to be a clown called Ambassador Haas, Tommy Haas or something like that. Peter Haas, I think he ran away from there, etc., etc. We all know what has happened. We all know that the US has cancelled her diplomatic visa. England has denied her entry. And let me put it to you like this, she is a Muslim, belongs to a Muslim country. She doesn't go to 56 other Islamic nations for sanctuary. It comes to me, sir. I mean, what more I have to tell you about India for people to understand? So she's here, she's going to stay, she might fall ill we'll give her treatment, whatever. But I don't see anything happening overnight. There is a clash between Bangladesh's Islamic identity and Bengali identity. And I believe in the long run, the Bengali identity will prevail. And let me put it to you like this. Muhammad Yunus character who has come there, he is an acknowledged crook. He's an acolyte of the Americans. He was, I'm told he used to polish Hillary Clinton's kitchen, whatever. She gave him a lot of money. Half of it he promptly sent back to the Clinton Foundation. He's not a reliable guy. People say he's anti-India. Well, we'll see. The bottom line is Bangladesh realizes it cannot do without India. And these were not students who were waving female underwear and so on and breaking statues and burning the ISKCON temple in other places. These were the jihadis, and they are going to be thrown out, exposed as soon as possible.
Right. Very pertinent issues outlined there, Ambassador Deepak Vohra, as you always do. You've given us a lot to chew on, but I'm going to ask my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul here, who's been following these developments last couple of hours. Aditya, do you share Ambassador Vohra's optimism on the fact that India isn't going away from Bangladesh? Given the fact that the kind of violence that we saw in the last couple of hours, horrific kind of violence, minorities being targeted, anti-India interests running loose in the streets of Dhaka. Will this continue, or do you see a reset happening soon?
Both actually, Sandeep. India certainly, Bangladesh cannot do away with India completely. We are the closest neighbor. We have come to the rescue so many times.
Yes.
We are strategic partners, and beyond that, we have so many projects that are active currently in Bangladesh. And they cannot just suddenly stop all the projects, stop the diplomatic ties and go away with it.
Yes.
At a time when, Bangladesh is looking towards a stability, looking towards having good diplomatic ties with several countries, the first of all would be India, certainly, because India is in its neighborhood. It would want to have better trade ties. But at the same time, there's been a systematic persecution of minorities that's been happening, not right now, but for decades together in Bangladesh. We've seen from Dhaka to Chittagong to other places where temples have been attacked. The latest attacks, and this is not just me speaking, there's a Reuters report which says that 30 to 40 temples have been attacked. There are close to 150 members of the Hindu minority who are injured. There are at least 3 to 5 Hindu minority members, both politicians, journalists and common men, who have been killed, who have been lynched by these Islamist jihadis. And they, New York Times had a headline this morning. New York Times said that these are revenge attacks against the Hindus. Justifying it. How is it a revenge attack when it's a systematic pogrom, it's a systematic, carnage? It's almost like a genocide that's happening slowly and steadily, what we saw in Kashmir and what we have been witnessing in Pakistan. So both these things are important, but beyond that, the most important and strategic point is what will India do? It's a strategic, defeat in many ways. It's a catch-22 for India, where Sheikh Hasina is in its backyard, and they would want to have stability in Bangladesh and good ties with Bangladesh. So they will be monitoring the situation closely, but they would want Sheikh Hasina to disembark, in fact, leave as early as possible.
But there's no country who are willing to accept her. And as Ambassador Vohra just mentioned, there are over 50 Muslim countries. Not one of them is offered to shelter her.
And beyond that, Europe. Europe, which wants to shelter everyone possible in the world, is not willing to. UK is not willing to. There are far-right and anti-immigration protests that are happening that have, in fact, led to hundreds of people being arrested. Even yesterday in London, there were clashes that were reported. And UK is not accepting Sheikh Hasina at all. This is a great game that we are witnessing, where, at a time when Sheikh Hasina wants shelter, wants a Western country to come to her rescue, nobody is willing to.
As Aditya, as you correctly pointed out, possibly Sheikh Hasina is safer in India than she is in the US or the UK.
Absolutely.
Given the kind of street violence that we've seen in the UK and US, and crowds running around of fundamentalist Islamists. But I'm just reading this piece that Muhammad Yunus wrote in The Economist, where he says, it's just about 2 days old, he says that although some countries such as India back the ousted Prime Minister and earn the enmity of the Bangladeshi people as a result, there will be many opportunities to heal these kind of rifts and to resume bilateral alliances and close friendships soon. He's literally echoing what Ambassador Vohra said, that the fact is that India cannot be wished away from the neighborhood. Manish Chand, you share this optimism, the fact that India is here to stay despite all of what's going on now. You know, you have Mohammed Yunus saying, look, we are very unhappy. India said this, that, but sorry, you have a 4,000 kilometer border with us. You are our largest neighbor.
Yes, so, India is very structurally embedded, in a sense, with Bangladesh. Economically, development, cooperation, history, culture. So there is so much of intertwining that you cannot wish India away. So India will remain sort of indispensable because otherwise, if you look at it from Bangladesh's point of view, what is the alternative? Who will fill in that gap?
Yes.
Suppose they ask India out and India is out. Then who's going to fill in? The United States, all the Western countries? I doubt very much. India is their largest neighbor. We are involved with some of those things, and development projects executed by India have impacted the lives of people. All the connectivity we have seen being built. You have to understand that if this new regime, which is about to shape up, is speaking for the people of Bangladesh, or is it somewhere a network of vested interest? If it is speaking for people of Bangladesh, then they will have to, navigate a relationship with India in a creative and constructive manner. There is really no choice. And the same thing goes for India. Bangladesh is strategically far too important. Economically, we have got closer and more integrated. So this has been, in fact, the success story of India's neighborhood first policy. And some say that Sheikh Hasina was India's last standing friend in the neighborhood. And I'm also appalled at demonization of Sheikh Hasina. And how the Western countries are displaying brazen double standards. Come to think of it, these countries have sponsored and supported, worse people.
The worst dictatorships in the world. Let's not forget, Yahya Khan was an ally of the United States when he was committing genocide in East Pakistan.
So, this lady, this Sheikh Hasina, in all fairness, of course, she became autocratic. We know what wrong she did, but she did several right things. Bangladesh is no longer a basket case as it was 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Bangladesh secularism became a major attraction. Now, what is it the Western countries are doing? Who are they handing over this to if they were involved? Clearly, we have to disentangle so-called student protests from the regime change operation. There is solid evidence to suggest that the two things are different. It was a regime change operation. And you see how well it has been choreographed. All of a sudden, Muhammad Yunus comes into there. And, with the certain speed with which everything happens. So, basically, what I see is that India is far too important for Bangladesh. Whatever the regime that shapes up, even the Jamaat and even Khaleda Jaya has already started sounding a bit placatory and sort of reaching out, so to speak.
India is too big to ignore. And in fact, I'm going to ask, Ambassador Deepak Vohra this. The second part of Mohammed Yunus's piece in The Economist is of great interest, Ambassador Vohra. He says that, I hope our liberation can revive the suspended SARC and make it a powerful force for integration in our region and beyond. That's a very interesting choice of words, given the fact that how heavily India banked on BIMSTEC to offset SARC, which had been shelved because of Pakistan's sponsorship of terror. Do you see this as becoming Bangladesh's policy in the next couple of months, Ambassador Vohra? The fact that, look, we need to get Pakistan back on board. SARC is the way to go forward. India, Pakistan and Bangladesh together.
I said at 85, the fellow has lost his marbles. It's time for him to transition to a better world. He's an ass. And this kind of thing revives SARC. Revives SARC for what did SARC achieve? SARC achieved zilch. And it accepts that we spend money, this, that, and the other. And then the Pakistanis was using it all the time for bilateral issues, which was not supposed to be part of the SARC chapter. The world has moved way beyond. What does this guy want to do? Go back and revive the League of Nations that was created after the First World War and that died as soon as Adolf Hitler decided to do all the funny things that he did? We are looking at BRICS. We are looking at New World Order. We're looking at a dying United Nations, and we're trying to see what is going to emerge from that. So all this nonsense, I don't think you should believe. And then the fact that he hopes
you're saying
that,
it's more
India will do all
idealistic.
these lovely things.
Right. Ambassador Vohra, sorry to interrupt you, but you're saying that this is just woolly-headed idealism from Mohammed Yunus, and
idealism.
It's not anything, it's not part of any script, as Manish Chand was saying.
It's stupidity. Why would anyone want to revive SARC?
Right.
I mean, why do you want to flog a dead horse? Right. It has nothing to do. What have we got to do, sir? Look at the size of my economy. I've crossed 4 trillion. Look at those chaps across the border, Atakistan. What are they? 350 or 400 billion? I'm 10 times their size. What are we talking about? And all this business about Bangladesh's indicators being better than mine, arrant nonsense. This is all inspired reporting in the Western media. Oh, ji, ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega, etc. No. The fact is that I'm the elephant in this area and I can't cut off my legs to come to their size. They will have an issue with me. I may or may not have an issue with them. The fact is that SARC is dead. We are now looking, as you rightly said, at BIMSTEC. We're looking at the Indian Ocean, whatever. We are looking at BRICS. We're looking at many other organizations. And SARC ko bhul jao, tapna do usko. I mean, I can hold a prayer meeting and we can all say, oh, our best beloved SARC has gone. That may be the best.
SARC is dead. Long live BIMSTEC, BRICS and beyond. Ambassador Vohra nails it for us. India has high stakes in Bangladesh, but and very clearly India is the elephant in the room. It's not going away anywhere. We may have suffered temporary setbacks, but as our panelists have just told us today, India is not going away anywhere. It stays in Bangladesh. All those investments made in Bangladesh over the last 10-15 years amount to something, and they will over the next couple of days as we watch the developments in Dhaka very closely. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Ambassador Vohra, Manish Chand. My colleague Aditya Raj Kaul continues to join me in the studio. Colonel Ashok Kumar Tara rescued Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's family, including former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, from Pakistani captivity during the 1971 Bangladesh War. Listen to what happened on the 17th of December 1971 and catch his full interview done by my colleague Geeta Datta only on the News9 Plus app.
The inside, the Mrs. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and Sheikh Hasina and sister family was there. They told me, shouted, don't listen to them, don't permit them. They are such people, they can fire anytime, they can kill anytime. And they previous night also tried to kill us. See, I knew it. I told them, now please tell me, I am Indian Army officer. I promised you, I'll take you safely to the headquarters where you can be family. Otherwise, when the Muktiwani come and kill you, you won't be knowing where your body is there. They won't be able to see your dead body. Like this, the conversation went for some time. And they agreed, they came down. Now, when they came down, I told my vehicle was there, John, take them to the headquarters.
There's been a spurt of terror attacks in Jammu over the past few weeks. And today, Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar is on a 2-day visit to J&K. Now, these two developments are not unconnected. This week marks the 5th anniversary of J&K becoming a union territory. It was a temporary move, of course. The long-term plan is to hold elections and restore statehood in J&K. And the Supreme Court has set a September 30th deadline for holding these elections. So will these fresh militant attacks cast a shadow over the elections in J&K? What is the Pakistan Army Chief's game plan? Is there a Pak-China ploy to thin Indian troops from Ladakh? And can elections be held in Jammu and Kashmir? And finally, will terror impact election plans in Jammu and Kashmir? Have alternatives to the National Conference, the PDP, and the Abdullahs been created? Joining me to discuss this is Sheshpal Vaid, former Director General of Police, Jammu and Kashmir, and my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul continues to join me in the studio. DGP Vaid, welcome to the News9 Plus show.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you.
I want to start by asking you this. The Election Commission team is in J&K today, 2-day visit to see if the state is conducive for the conduct of elections. What's your estimate about when elections could be held in Jammu and Kashmir? Because that's literally the most important thing right now. Elections, the restoration of statehood, and finally we can pronounce mission accomplished on the return of Jammu and Kashmir to normalcy?
Good afternoon. The visit of Chief Election Commissioner Mr. Rajiv Kumar is very, very important. And Sandeep, even during my service career, we have seen whenever elections are to be held, the Election Commission would visit, the whole Election Commission would pay visit to the state of Jammu and Kashmir to personally talk to the officers concerned who are in charge of the elections in the state, and they would interact with the Chief Secretary, the Chief Electoral Officer, the DGP, all heads of the security forces, intelligence agencies, and all the district magistrates and the district SPs, because they take care of each district. So, including the divisional commissioners and the concerned zonal IGs. So, this is customary also, but in view of spurt in incidents in Jammu region, it becomes even more important. And I'm sure they will be having a fair assessment from all the officers concerned. And though there has been a lot of terror attacks in Jammu, particularly Jammu region, Kashmir has been, in fact, quite okay. If you see, since abrogation of Article 370, things have shown a lot of improvement as far as Kashmir Valley is concerned. But then, as you were mentioning, the Pakistan's sinister plan, that plan definitely we all understand how it's being done, why Jammu is being targeted. In fact, in earlier interview also with you, I had mentioned the threefold motive of the Pakistan. Number one, they wanted to puncture the narrative of the Modi government that things have improved after abrogation of Article 370. Number two, to ease pressure from Indo-China border, Ladakh and Kashmir Valley, and seek the spread of the security forces because by disturbing Jammu region. Because Jammu region suits Pakistan because of various strategic you have a hilly terrain, you have all this Pir Panjal range, you have so many places to hide, unlike Kashmir Valley. Kashmir Valley is largely plain, each village connected from 3-4 roads, which is not so in Jammu. There would be 1 or 2 roads going to the district headquarters like Doda or Kishtwar or Rajouri or Poonch. There are hardly many roads. So much of the track you have to do on foot. So it's definitely a lot of hard work for the forces, and mountainous region absorbs a lot of forces. So that way also Jammu region suits. So this is how they wanted to ease pressure in Kashmir, in Ladakh, seek the spread of the forces and puncture this narrative. I think they thought Jammu would be ideal for this, and in fact they chose after having a fair assessment, I'm sure, and seeing that some of the forces were actually withdrawn from Jammu region, like RR units and the paramilitary forces. So that is Asif Munir's plan. And I think, in fact, in one of my tweets, I had mentioned this, that similar attempts were being made in Kashmir, because you see on the border of Kashmir, particularly Machel sector, there was an encounter going on last week. Before that, Keren sector, 2 attempts were made where in one attempt, I think 3 terrorists were eliminated, another 2 terrorists were eliminated. So even Kashmir, left to them, they will not leave Kashmir also. So now coming to the election part, see, though there is a spurt of terrorism, but then let me also mention here, we have conducted elections in much more difficult conditions. I remember, I think first election after Dr. Farooq Abdullah fled in 1890, early 90, January 90, and governor's rule was imposed. 95 parliamentary elections were conducted, and that time things were much more difficult. In fact, the numbers of terrorists were so many, I think many times bigger than what it is today, though they were definitely less trained than what today, the kind of terrorists you are facing today. And after that, 96, we had assembly elections where Dr. Farooq Abdullah won and he became the chief minister. He formed the government. Then again, year 2001 and 2002 was the peak of last 30 years, 35 years. And in 2002, we conducted again assembly election where Mufti Muhammad Sayyid's government and Congress and PDP government, coalition government came into power. So there we have an example where we have with determination conducted elections, and that can be done even today. But you would need forces, you would need a lot of deployment, protection of the candidates. On an average, there are 90 assembly constituencies in Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir today. And my experience tells me on an average 15 candidates you take per constituency. So you need to protect at least 150 candidates. Then beyond this, they all will have to campaign for their. So you need to provide them protected places for holding rallies. Their movement has to be properly secured. You will have the observers coming. They need to be protected. So all these would require a lot of deliberation, a lot of deployment, a lot of I think
a lot of manpower. Yes, absolutely.
A lot of manpower.
And in fact, DGP Ved, I was in Kashmir for my first visit to J&K was in fact in 1996, and it was so unsafe. Yeah. We were part of a media delegation from Mumbai. It was so unsafe that we had been given a helicopter by the MOD to fly from one place to the other. It was so, they said we can't guarantee your safety on the ground because there were literally thousands of militants, not hundreds or dozens. Yes. It was like thousands
days,
of...
90s were a different ball
yes,
game.
It was like a full-scale war that we were fighting. But, you know, Aditya, this visit of the Election Commission, very significant today, given the fact that the Supreme Court has given a deadline of 30th of September. Is it possible that we could hold elections before the 30th of September? Or that's just a notional deadline. The government will ask for an extension.
You know, there's an answer that I can give you as an expert, and there's an answer that I can give you perhaps as a friend.
Let's hear the expert answer first.
You know, the expert answer is that, you know, this is good for India's democracy. Yes. This is great because after years, we had such historic elections taking place in Lok Sabha. And that's why Pakistan is jittery.
Yes.
You know, you have almost 60% polling in North Kashmir, in South Kashmir, in Central Kashmir.
Absolutely.
And now, you know, there's a very successful tourism. There's a successful Amarnath Yatra.
Right.
So, obviously, Pakistan does not want peace, and that's why this Jammu has been opened as a new center.
Yes, a new front.
A new front in many ways. But now, what will the government of India do? You know, there's a political answer to it as well. The political answer is that the BJP is still not confident that it can independently form a government. And that goes against every logic.
Yes.
You know, look at the Lok Sabha elections, the kind of voting that has taken place, particularly in North Kashmir. You know, it's expected to an extent in South Kashmir, maybe even in Central Kashmir. But in North Kashmir, where Umar Abdullah, the former chief minister, was contesting and who was defeated massively. I mean, all the people who used to boycott elections, you could be happy that they are participating. But they are participating in electing Engineer Rashid, who has been no better than a separatist himself, who is inside prison for a Hawala case. He was arrested 2019. A day or two before the abrogation of 370 and was kept inside. So, as of now, Government of India are giving feelers that elections could take place. The Chief Election Commissioner has gone there. He will review the security. He will review the preparedness of the Election Commission down on ground. My personal feeling now, my personal feeling is that these are only kind of feelers that are being given. I don't think the Government of India is prepared to politically have elections in place. They do not have the numbers in their favor unless they come to a backdoor arrangement with National Conference and have elections. Secondly, you know, security is a major problem. When Jammu has been opened as a new front, I completely respect Mr. Ved's statement that in worse circumstances elections have happened. I also covered elections in the last 10 years. Particularly, I remember, I think in 2014 December, I went all across North Kashmir in freezing cold early in the morning and covered elections when Sajad Lone had also won. But as of now, I don't feel that there is a serious attempt for elections. That's what, even in my conversations today with some leaders of the National Conference, they are surprised with this visit because they also don't expect elections to take place. Finally, I will tell you that what could happen is that in the next few months, you could have panchayat elections. You could have lower body elections taking place. And by 30th September, perhaps there will be an answer given in the Supreme Court that yes, we are going to do elections, but let's begin with the panchayat elections, etc.
Panchayat elections.
Test the waters. And then perhaps have the assembly elections maybe next year.
So the time isn't ripe, certainly, for elections. Very interesting, observations there, Aditya. The fact that, Engineer Rashid, you wouldn't want Engineer Rashid and his ilk to kind of take power, given the way things are. But, Mr. Ved, the fact that one of the stated objectives, or rather the unstated objectives, was to create a new political leadership in Jammu and Kashmir, which was not the traditional, not the National Conference, not the PDP, not the Abdullahs. Do you think that hasn't worked, given what Aditya just mentioned? If separatists, radicals are getting these kind of majorities, does that mean that, yes, the people are coming out and voting, but they're not voting for people, who would be deemed pro-India?
I completely agree with Aditya. In fact, the political maneuvering which I had expected at the time of abrogation, that new leadership will be created.
Yes.
I'm sorry, my statement is very, very blunt. Unfortunately, Delhi has failed in this regard. They propped up two leaders for this Altaf Bukhari, and he formed Apni Party, and then Sajad Lone, who had his own political outfit, People's League. But I think
they also tried Shah Faisal and Shaila Rashid.
Shah Faisal, Shaila Rashid. That you have seen how Shah Faisal has been taken out of the political arena and put back as a bureaucrat. In fact, if I was in his place, I would have been dismissed and put in a jail. That is how you have two-tier policing, what is famous today in UK. That's two-tier policing happens in Jammu Kashmir also. The government treats people like you and me with a different yardstick, and people from Kashmir in a different yardstick. So anyway, coming to this question, see, I think the experiment of Sajad Lone and Altaf Bukhari, I don't think it has taken to ground. My personal assessment is they would not be able to get more than 1 or 2 or 3. That's the maximum number they can even think of. And as things stand today, I don't know what will happen in future. So I think Government of India is maneuvering. In fact, at one point of time, a lot of leaders, in fact, I used to get a lot of phone calls from many people in the PDP and the National Conference that we would like to join some outfit which Government of India is supporting. Anyway, I had no role in this, but I don't know how they thought about I can play a role, but I did get calls. I'm just mentioning here. So I don't think Government of India really played its cards properly, and no alternative was raised. And as things stand today, I think if Aditya agrees with me, I think and National Conference will have a sway in Kashmir Valley as things stand today. And maybe few seats go to PDP in South Kashmir. So, and some to Congress. And that is how things are. BJP's main vote bank was in Jammu region.
Right.
Unfortunately for BJP, even Jammu has not been handled properly. I come from Jammu region, and I keep interacting with a lot of people there. the people of Jammu are not happy with BJP. Though when Article 370 was abrogated, there was a celebration in Jammu region. Today, the same party, which is unlikely to get votes in Kashmir Valley, and its main vote bank was in Jammu region. People of Jammu do not, my assessment is, they are not very, very happy with the BJP's role. Even if they have whatever development work has been done, I think there's no leader worth his salt in BJP who has actually projected the achievements of BJP government to the people of
the communication gap there. But Mr. Ved, I'm just going to interrupt you. Aditya had a point to make. Aditya,
I have a very simple point. Since we have been discussing over the last few days both Bangladesh and Jammu and Kashmir, something very interesting and common between the two. Gene Sharp in the book Dictatorship to Democracy, writes about the way a non-violent revolution has to be done. Authoritarian regime or a dictator has to be brought down.
By a colored revolution.
By a colored revolution. India, and perhaps it's the so-called deep state in India, tried to do that in Jammu and Kashmir. A new leadership would be there, and there will be a revolution. They were successful in bringing peace to a level, but a new breed of leaders could not be, really come about. America, however, has been successful in doing that in Bangladesh. There's been a complete non-violent revolution. Imagine Muhammad Yunus sitting with the US diplomats in 2007, tells them that I have an ambition of joining politics. And they actually award him. They, reward him. They, Nobel Prize had been given already. But Obama later, awarded him. Hillary Clinton awarded him. There was a lot of payments that went from USAID and other organizations.
This is all in WikiLeaks. It's been documented
17 to 18 years ago. And then systematically the American CIA worked around and taught perhaps Sheikh Hasina a lesson in their own way.
Absolutely. So this is interesting. The parallels between Bangladesh and Jammu and Kashmir, Aditya. You have the deep state and you have the sleep state. I'm not going to pass judgments on who is what, but that's clearly the way some of these big powers function. They think years in advance, and that I think is the benefit, or or if you can call it that, of having deep states in many of these countries. Empires think that way, but that's a separate discussion we must have for another day. But for now, we know that Munir's Jammu game plan isn't working. Elections might not happen in Jammu and Kashmir, but for a different set of reasons, as we just discussed. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, DGP Ved and my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul.